Welcome to the award in Education and Training from Voluntary Action Leicestershire. The award in education that you're about to do is your first step in teaching adults in lifelong learning. For those of you who remember the old Petals course, this is pretty much the same as the old Petals course with a few changes. And the course is going to be available to you at level 3. There are 3 units. The first one is on the roles and responsibilities of a teacher, and you'll be asked exactly what it is that a teacher has to do. The second one is about how you teach in an inclusive way. That's trying to motivate and engage all of your learners. And then the final unit is about how you assess the learners and how you do that fairly. And as part of that, you're going to have to do some practical work as well. You're going to have to do a micro-teach, which is a 20-minute teaching session. And with your micro-teach, you'll have to provide a lesson plan. As part of that, you'll need to complete a reflective journal in which you just reflect on how well the teaching session went and whether there anything that you wanted to do differently. And then together with that, you need to do 2 observations of your colleagues. That's usually done on the face-to-face course by observing other people in the room. But if you can make arrangements to observe other people in a natural setting and then complete an observation of them, then that's even better for you. Okay, if you log on, then you should be able to see a dashboard just like this. And really you should be able to navigate everywhere around the course just using this. If you're already watching this video, then presumably you've found the induction. But if you haven't, then click on that and that will take you through to some instructions as to how the course works. Once you've been through that, you'll recognise that you'll need to do a micro-teach as part of the course. If you are baffled as to what a micro-teach is and what you're going to be required to do, then click onto micro-teach. And that gives you some ideas as to what you could do. There are some frequently asked questions there. So click on this button here and that will take you through to some answers to questions which you might have about the course before you give me a call. But of course, you're welcome to give me a call if you want. If you click on this one, there should be some tools and some resources for you that you can use. So on this one, you've got, for your micro-teach, you've got some resources there. There are the policies for learning, which I obviously haven't populated yet, but there will be plenty by the time you start this course in there. And also the specifications for the course that you've got. If you want to have a look at exactly what AIM Awards requires you to do, then all their official documents are in there, and more besides. Your assignments are here if you want to know exactly how you're going to be assessed. Click on there, and you will have information about exactly what you need to do for each of the assignments. That window is not really showing all of those there, but nevertheless, have a look at those, and that will give you a clue as to exactly how you're going to be assessed. And each of those assessments will come steadily through the week as you go through them. Most importantly, the lessons. So there are going to be 10 lessons for you. And they're all roughly on these themes: the roles of the teacher, legislation, aims and objective. Don't forget, we sort of expect you to get through this in 10 weeks. You can get through it in 10 hours if you really felt industrious. But it will be nice for us just to have a chat in between. There will be arranged tutorials with you so that we can discuss exactly how you get on with each of those. But if you're feeling particularly industrious or you're very independent as a learner, of course there's nothing to stop you rattling through each of these, doing the assignments and getting it out of the way. It will be a shame, but there's definitely nothing against it. There's a link here to AIM Awards, who are our accrediting body, and that will take you through to their website so that you can see exactly what it is that you might, what else you might want to do. They've got links to other courses there. If you want to contact them about the course, then they'll be, I'm sure, happy to speak to you as well. Don't forget, at the end as well, there is a requirement for you to do a reflective journal. Now, presumably at the moment, you'll have no idea what that is. But as it says on here, reflective journal. For this task, you'll be asked to keep a running diary of your experiences, thoughts, and progression throughout the course. Just in case you're unsure as to how to submit, if we go through each of the assignments, I'll show you those in a minute. At the end of each of the assignments, it should say Add Submission. So if you go to this, Add Submission, there'll be a button here which says guarantee that this is actually your own work, and then you start typing in there. And that should be the same for most of the assignments, although some of them might actually enable you to upload files. So if you don't want to actually do the on-screen submissions, then you can use a Word document or whatever it is you use. Not a PDF, please, because that tends to I can't put my marks on a PDF copy. So it needs to be something that I can actually edit, please, if you don't mind. And once you've done that, then you just submit at the bottom, and Bobby's your uncle. So that should be fine. Leave the page. Yes, no problem. Okay. So back we are there. Let's just go over those. So that's your induction, your micro teach, any questions that you've got, some tools and resources there for you, your assignments if you're unsure as to what those might be, the lessons that you have. Don't forget to click on each of those. There are 10 of them. And that's a link to AIM Awards and your reflective journal. So with a bit of luck, you should have a rough idea once you've been through those what's going to be expected of you. If you want to, then go ahead and start the course. Let's just have a look at a few more of the things that requirements that we have of you before we get started, though, shall we? Now, just a couple of things that you need to be mindful of, which are kind of rules, really, that we lay down for you. You can pretty much do as you please, apart from the following things. The first is that we don't have any extensions to deadlines. So at the start of the course, you should have been told exactly when you need to get your work in by. And if it doesn't come in, we don't have any extensions at all. So there are absolutely no circumstances in which we would allow you to go over that time. In the event that you do go over that time, then we will charge you for each of the units that you don't manage to do. So it is worthwhile making sure that you know what the deadlines are and making sure that you arrange your time such that you can get the work in, because there is absolutely nothing that we will accept as an excuse for not getting your work in. And it sounds like we're heartless, but that's just because we have a lot of learners and we can't afford to be marking work outside of the time that we've allotted, I'm afraid. Now, when you do your work, then we will give you 2 attempts to get this in. So when you click that button and you submit your work to us, then we'll have a look at it. In the event that it needs some changes, then we will send it back to you and say, can you do this, please? And then you get a second chance to do it. In the event that it's still not right, then you will not pass that unit. That's because we cannot just keep indefinitely marking people's work. So it's worth your while putting effort into the first one. Sometimes people just do a very, very rough draft. But I would recommend strongly that the first draft that you do is as strong as you can make it. We recommend that you get a course textbook. There's a requirement for you to actually use some sources there. If at all, in the course, it feels like everything that you've written has come completely from the top of your head. And that usually means that you haven't been doing any background reading. So if you can use a book, there's a bibliography in the resources section that you can have a look at. But certainly we recommend you get this course textbook, which is by Anne Gravels. Now, when you get your work back from us, if say you've done some writing, then what we'll have alongside it are comments in margins alongside it. So for this one, you can tell that the person's describing inclusive learning. By doing that, they've been answering question 1.1. So on the margin, they've put 1.1. I really like the way you've used the reference in here. Good use of quotes to demonstrate you know what you are doing, which is great. But it may well be that there's a red comment beside it which says you need to make a change. Now that's not a problem because you get 2 chances. But if you are asked to make a change, you will need to make a change on that particular document. We do not want you to send something different to us, otherwise we end up with loads of different documents. So either do it in the text in a different colour, or do it at the end of the text marked as the changes, because we only really want 1 document for you for each of the assignments rather than 2, because it gets a bit messy. And then that's it, really. Have a flicker around the website. We hope that you're going to be happy on the course that you've got. Don't forget you've got contact numbers for us just in case there are any problems with it. Your tutor by now should have explained to you how the tutorials work. But in the box below, if you can just type in, summarise in 50 words or so, roughly what it is that you've got to do, any of the rules and regulations for the course, just to check that we know that you've been watching this, and then we're ready to get started anyway. Thank you very much, and I will speak to you soon.